with a faster mouse or a slower mouse?
2.5. Well, if people are interested, I have it on 800 CPI,
Okay.
500 hertz report rate, 2.5 sensitivity with no acceleration, and then 30% in-game. And yeah, I actually have a very, very slow mouse relative to everyone. The only people I've seen with a slower mouse is actually Artosis.
Okay.
So I play with a very slow mouse.
Oh, Artosis. What about you, LZ?
I use a really, like, out of probably all the competitive gamers, I'm up on the other end of the spectrum because I play with a really fast mouse. Like the sensitivity, I use 70. No, I use 60 in game, and then I already have my settings to where they're pretty high in general, like on my computer. So, yeah. So I use a really sensitive mouse.
Yeah. I use.
Have you ever tried Jeff's mouse? Because he actually has ridiculously high too.
No, I don't think so. But I have noticed he has a high sensitivity. We're probably around the same, actually.
I tried
But
playing
most
with him.
players like
Actually,
you
couldn't
and
do it.
a lot of players like you, Machine, QXC, y'all all use like really low sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, what is the reason for that? Do you? I mean, there has to be some. I mean, I've noticed it too. A lot of really top-level players play with a slower mouse. Is there any logic there?
I think it's
I feel
whatever's
that
most comfortable to you, in general, though.
Yeah.
That's definitely a big part of it. I know there are plenty of pros, like Korean Star 1 pros, who had high mouse sensitivity. I actually had mine high for StarCraft 1, and I lowered it when I got the new mouse. Basically, I just feel that if you want your mouse to be somewhere on the screen, it's going to be there really quickly. It's not hard to move it that distance within reason. Like, you can't have it bottomed out or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And given that, the slower mouse just makes for more accuracy.
Cool.
It's kind of like the reason shooter game players have their mouses ridiculously low. Like the sensitivities.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's go ahead and, Greg, let's talk a little bit about more standard ZvT. Playing a Mutalisk style, what are your upgrade priorities? How do you work out the upgrades you get and when you get them?
I've kind of been going along with the Korean style, get really, really fast +1 melee upgrades and melee attack for ground units and stuff. And it's just, it makes Ling Baneling a lot more effective, and I've been switching to a more Baneling focus because that's the only way I've really found to deal with tank, marine, medevac pushes.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, mutas just don't cut it.
Yeah.
And I always get really fast muta attack upgrades too.
Yes, yes, absolutely you do. Now,
I have a question.
Okay.
Greg.
Yep.
How come you would get, like in StarCraft 1, because I was a Zerg player in StarCraft 1, you would always get Carapace over an attack upgrade, especially with like Zerglings, right? Because that would allow them to actually make contact with the Marines. Wouldn't it work the exact same way in StarCraft 2? Wouldn't it be more important for like the Marines not to be able to snipe the Banelings as easy?
Well, with the way I've been playing, and I think the way the Korean in general, it's just you're accepting that 99% of your units are going to die to the tank and marine volleys before they actually get there, and you're just praying that the 3 Banelings that actually connect will be able to kill everything.
Just kill everything.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Okay. That's a question that we've kind of covered already. Looking at Zerg replays in all leagues, the typical reaction to a Marine Ball is to make a lot of Banelings. Sometimes to the point that Zerg just spends all their gas on them. Why is this? Testing it out, it doesn't take that many Banes to kill a lot of Marines. Is there a reason we have to make so damn many?
Well, once you get up to a higher level and people are really splitting and really spreading their Marines, well, when it's Banelings, then you do really need a ridiculous amount of them to kill them. Just because Marines' rate of fire is so high that they actually kill Banelings before they connect, unless you have a ton of them.
Okay. Just going through these a little bit. Some of these questions are terrible, so I'm skipping the bad ones. That one's definitely been covered. Hey, Greg, how do you feel about using Nidus worms to get around the map? I know we kind of touched on this a little bit yesterday, but hey, no sense in skipping a good question. I love the Nidus. So what do you think about it? Is it something that you could use to make your army more mobile in ZvT, or is it something that's better in the other matchups?
Something that I've been experimenting with a tiny little bit is actually just using a Nidus in order to flank Terran in situations where you're not supposed to be able to flank them. Like, I don't know, on Lost Temple, they have you contained. They have their tank marine ball outside your choke. plopping down a Nidus behind the bushes in one of the corners of the map, and then rolling out half your banelings from the other side in order to be able to get that flank. I've had a little success with it. Honestly, it's just so much gas, and you are so gas-starved that 200 is almost unaffordable in situations where it would really matter. And then there are other cute little uses, like a lot of times if ZvP on Lost Temple goes into the late game, I'll pop down Niduses on all the cliffs and take the islands with them, and do spine crawler harass and stuff like that. So they have niche uses. In general, I think they're too expensive to be a part of Zerg's mid-game play.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
I have something to add to that.
Yeah, please.
I actually was playing, I don't know, a couple days ago or something, and somebody actually did something that actually made sense in my mind. Like, it was late game.
It actually made sense in your mind.
Yeah, it made sense. Most Zerg players don't make any sense. Like, the +1 melee attack, that doesn't make any sense in my mind, because I'm from the Brood War era.
Yeah.
And he actually, after he had the big Mutaball, he was harassing where he, turrets don't matter. He can two-shot him, or even one-shot him even. And after while he was harassing, he made Nidus worms in my base while the harass was going on. And it was actually pretty brilliant because he pulled his mutas out, and then he could just harass with like the worthless Zerglings that weren't going to do anything in the fight, right? So, and then the mutas could go somewhere else and start picking off. But it forced me to actually split my Marines up to where it was much easier for his mutas to actually go and start picking off tanks and such.
That's cute.
Well,
yeah, I like that. And then running in banelings to kill the Marines as you come back to try and kill the mutas.
Right.
That could be good.
Yeah, I would agree that the gas cost of the Nidus is probably the biggest thing that discourages its use on a wider scale. I've often wondered to myself why, if you pay 200 for the network, you can't just pay 100 minerals for the worm itself. Maybe that would be OP.
It could be, but as is, I feel it's a bit too expensive for them. But also that is just because Zerg is generally pretty hard-pressed to be surviving in the mid-game anyway.
Yeah.
So everything is very, very crucial.
One thing I'll add, I guess, before we move on to the next question, is just that with some of these huge maps that are coming out soon, or that we're seeing over in Korea, I think Nidus play is going to get much better. As the maps get larger,
that
Nidus
definitely
play
could be true.
becomes almost akin to Warpin, in my opinion. So
I could definitely see that happening.
All right. More questions. Okay, here's a good one. It's kind of become in vogue on North American servers for Terran players to open Blue Flame Hellion, and this can be very difficult to deal with in a lot of situations. Do you have any good advice for dealing with Blue Flame Hellion openings? We'll start with you, Greg.
I think they're very good, just kind of general solid opening. Well, obviously there's two options. You either get 2 spine crawlers, use queens to block your ramp, a couple of speedlings to try and surround, or you get roaches. It's not really a tip kind of thing. It's just you need to know they're coming and be prepared for them, otherwise they're going to kill you. Okay.
LZ, you have anything to add?
That was pretty much it. Like, the one thing about the Blue Flame Hellion, like, I played Slush in a tournament the other day, and he just went like straight roach rush, like out of nowhere. Like, it wasn't even really a rush. It was just like a 2-base mass roach. So, like, the minute my Hellions got to his base, he already had, like, 10 roaches or something stupid. And it was, like, impossible for me to hold off, like, the counterattack that he just did to my base. So, apparently, with that build, there's an easy way just to blind counter it if you know a person's going to do it, or it's, like, the flavor of the month build on the US server.
Yeah, it's very common on Xel'Naga, so maybe that's something that players can experiment with, just 2-base roach, kind of, I guess, all in. I have to feel like, though... Who was that trying to chime in? Was that LZ or Greg?
Me.
Go ahead.
You don't even really need to have to all in. If you catch them going Hellion and they're not prepared for Roach, you can just make like 5 or 6 and hit at their wall while droning behind it.
Yeah.
And it's almost as sure of a win without any risk. So if you catch them off guard with Roaches, they can be very vulnerable to that.
Now I can't speak for the highest pro level play, but certainly where I'm playing around 3K to 3.2K Masters. Hellion openings almost always lead into Banshees. So, I don't know. What's up with that at your guys' level? Do you not see as much Banshee after Hellion?
It happens occasionally.
Yeah, it's pretty rare though. Like, yeah, I don't see it very often. It does happen, but majority of the time it's either like just a pure mech follow-up or a bio switch.
Okay. I'm going to take a couple more questions, then I'll let you guys do your shout-outs and your plugs. First, this is probably the most important question of all. What is your favorite Korean dish? Greg, you first.
Twitch.